Practicing active listening techniques. Learn about the value of using active listening techniques. On screen, 2-minute smile while shaking hands.
Hello, parents and caregivers, and welcome to MDE LIO's Parent Educational Video Series, where we break down the mystery of big educational labels and the little acronyms that represent them. I'm Amy Shepard, Parent Liaison to the Michigan Department of Education Low Incidence Outreach, or MDE-LIO for short. And that, folks, is our first acronym. I'm a parent of a young man who is legally blind, a community advocate, and a constant collaborator. Today, I'm collaborating with my longtime friend and coworker, Johanna Brutvan, an education consultant at MDE-LIO. Hi, Johanna.
Hi, Amy.
Johanna, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So, Amy, I've been a teacher for the visually impaired here in Michigan since 1999. 8 of those years I spent working as a preschool teacher. And if you can believe it, I've been here at LIO since 2014.
Wow, I do find that hard to believe, and we are certainly grateful that you are here with us today to share your experiences as we talk about ways in which parents and teachers can work together to build positive relationships. Today's topic, the art of practicing active listening skills, is a strategy that I'm constantly trying to improve upon. Active listening is an attitude of sincerely trying to understand when someone else is thinking, even if you don't agree with them.
And Amy, as educators, it is so important that we remember to put the parents first in this conversation.
Yes, parents do know their children best, but they may not realize how much they know in educational terms. When we talk with parents, we want them to feel comfortable and safe. The teacher-parent dynamic can make it hard for parents to feel completely honest and to be vulnerable. Parents have a lot of natural fears. What if I answer wrong? What if I'm not doing the right things at home? What if I don't understand and know my child's needs the way others think I should? What if I don't completely understand the medical diagnosis?
You know, Amy, I think about this. Imagine you're a parent, you're walking into a meeting. There are 10 people sitting at the table when you walk in, and you look around and you may not know them. There may be a new face at the table. They all know each other because they work together, and that's a very intimidating situation. So we as educators really need to be mindful of that and to think about how our conversations are going to make them feel more comfortable and also just more engaged in the process. So as a parent, are there some things that you would suggest or you would want to experience when walking into a room like that?
Yeah, well, first of all, when I walk into that room, I want to know there is a place at that table for me, that I belong there. So one of the ways educators can do that is to greet me by name and to ask me where I'd like to sit. This immediately shows me that they know who I am and allows me to make a choice that makes me feel comfortable. During the meeting, it's important for me to be included in the conversation, not just talked at. And it's important for me to feel that everyone at the table is there to truly listen to my input and to support me for my needs for information and additional supports. And that is where developing strong active listening skills really pays off. I'm going to show a slide and talk about a few key tricks for being an effective listener. Avoid interruptions and don't be afraid of silence. Parents and caregivers are managing many responsibilities. They are sometimes frustrated and confused by their situation and the system. Sometimes they just need to be heard. We don't always have to rush in with our suggestions on how to fix things. Sometimes simply being present and listening is enough to make them feel valued and supported. Ask for clarification to be sure that you accurately understand each other's perspectives and interests. People often remain silent or pretend that they understand when they don't. Or sometimes two people can listen to the same comments and yet hear very different things. Our personalities and values have a profound impact on how we respond to and interpret the words that we hear. Asking clarifying questions can help eliminate miscommunication and confusion. Some of the responses that I use when I'm confused are, could you repeat that? Would you give me an example? What I think you're saying is. So don't be afraid to ask for clarification. Another tip to show that you are actively listening is to respond to comments in a relevant way. Your follow-up comments and questions should build on what others are saying. And finally, ask open-ended questions to create a genuine conversation. Open-ended questions often encourage team members to share stories about their student, and it's the seemingly unimportant details within these stories that often build the best personal connections. Okay, Johanna, I know you've developed incredible listening skills over the years. Can you think of an interaction with a parent that really put those listening skills to the test?
So I will say I've gotten better over the years, but it's definitely something that I continue to practice and try to improve upon. I actually was just recently did a parent interview, and I had a checklist of all the questions I was going to ask, and I was running down my list of prepared questions. And really right then, I probably should have stopped myself because I wasn't asking open-ended questions that led to that storytelling. I was just running down a list, and I asked a very standard question about going out into the community. And the mom paused and said, have you ever tried to take a child with a wheelchair and 3 other children into the grocery store?
Right.
And I really had to stop and think about the way that I was asking questions. Now, it's okay to come with a list of prepared questions as starting points and conversation starters, but I wasn't actively listening to what that parent wanted to share with me. So when you're in some of those big meetings or you're having a teacher conversation, do you find it hard as a parent to engage in active listening?
Well, to be completely honest, listening has not always been my strong suit. My natural instinct is to be thinking ahead to what I want to say next. So I do have to work really hard to stay in the present, to slow my brain down, and to pay attention. I also often felt very intimidated in those big group meetings because there were so many experts there, particularly during our IEPs. Oh, and I want to point out IEP, that's another acronym, and it stands for Individual Education Program. Because I felt intimidating during those meetings, my nerves sometimes made it really hard for me to speak up. So I had a little trick. I always made sure that I sat across from somebody on the team who I had a strong relationship with and who made me feel comfortable. And it's amazing how just a little bit of positive eye contact or a reassuring nod from a friend would often give me the courage I needed to ask questions when I was confused or uncertain.
Those meetings can be exhausting and overwhelming. And really, active listening is not just the physical act of hearing what someone is saying. It's really showing someone that you care, that you're listening to them. And the way that you described having someone near you with that nodding, it just reminds me of the positive impact that building those personal relationships can have.
Yeah, well, we certainly know that active listening can be very challenging. And for most people, it does take a lot of practice. But we've also learned some great tips on how to grow in this area. So I think that's a perfect place to wrap it up. Johanna, I really appreciate you being here with us today.
Thank you for having me and bringing me into this important conversation.
And a huge thank you to everyone who else tuned in to listen. Don't forget to check out our MDE LIO website for other videos in our Parent Educational Video Series. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Learn more at ndelio.org. Find more videos, get resources, and learn how MDE LIO can support you.